Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today let's talk about map sustain. Now, last time we talked about farming sessions and basically how you can optimize your map rolling with the search bar, how you can roll a lot of them at once more easily. And this is like the third installment of this series, how to make currency, playlist down in the description. Now, today I wanted to do something a little bit different because what I had planned initially is I will show you how to roll a map, and then we go into the maps and tell you what to skip, what to run, how you can enhance your maps, how to read layouts, whatnot. We'll go to all of that, but I thought that it was more important to kind of go into a topic that is a little bit of a relic of the past, a little bit of a meme, and that is map sustain. Now, from the title, you might have already guessed what this video will be about. I just want to point out that this is not an opinion piece. This is not like, in my opinion, map sustain does not matter. This is numbers, simple numbers, and understanding what currency actually is, what trading does. And so this is basically why map sustain does not matter, and here's why. Now, if you're a veteran player already, you already know where this is going, you already understand this concept, but you might still get some info on just how currency works and how the trading system enhanced it over time, and how we sometimes misjudge certain farming methods off of map sustain. Now, in order to understand what I mean, we kind of have to go into something that I coined the chaos mindset. It's just a fancy, I know it's a weird term, it kind of sounds like some self-guru clickbait YouTube video. I didn't come up with a better name, I don't know. But basically all this refers to is understanding that everything in this game, everything you drop that is tradable can be converted to chaos. I take chaos here because chaos is the default trading currency, sort of. Most of your trades will be done in chaos. And what I mean by it doesn't really matter what it is for this example, but we take chaos. So what I mean by this is that put yourself in a mindset where you realize that if you just drop the map and you pick it up, you're not really picking up a map, but you're picking up 5C, for example, or whatever this map is worth. If you pick up this map, maybe it's 6C. So you didn't pick up a map, you just picked up 6C. Same with a scarab. This is not a scarab, this is 4C. Remnant, 4C. This, 1C. Awakened Sextant, 4C, whatever. Realize that these things can all be exchanged into currency. And obviously there's a small difference here, because if I drop this map and I pick it up, it's not just 5C. I also have to do a trade to get my 5C. So obviously you would rather prefer to have this than this, always basically. Unless you exactly want this map already. Now, here's the kicker, right? If you do farming sessions, like I said in the last video, which is what you should be doing to begin with, you will have a broad amount of currency dropping. So for example, at the end of your farming session, if there's scarab drops somehow involved in that session, you will not drop one amber scarab, you will have like 12 at the end of a session. So then in that case, you only have to do one trade to convert that into chaos, because somebody will buy all 12, and you don't have to do 12 individual trades. Basically making the difference of this and this kind of negligible. If you understand this mindset, you can better judge how good a certain farming method is than if you just go off by, well, I dropped that many maps, I dropped like some scarabs, maybe they rot in your stash and you don't even realize that you have like hundreds of chaos in your scarab tab or whatever, which happens all the time, or in your fossil tab or whatnot. Simply start thinking in chaos terms rather than essence, scarab, map, or whatnot. But before we go into how this mindset actually connects to understanding that map sustain is completely irrelevant, I want to talk about where map sustain, this meme of map sustain, came from and what it actually means. Now, map sustain basically refers to the number of maps you're dropping while playing maps, and if you can actually continue to play those maps. Now, so for example, if somebody asked me, can you sustain toxic sewers? He or she is basically asking, when I completed these 100 toxic sewers, will I have 100 or more toxic sewers dropped from those maps in order for me to continue the farming? Now, why I said the term of map sustain is kind of a relic of the past is because it used to be really, really hard to sustain maps back in the days, and the trading system wasn't as refined as it is today. There weren't as many players, so you couldn't really just freely buy maps as you wanted them. If you go even further back, you would have to exalt your maps to get more quantity on it to actually get any returns. So it was just a different time. Once the Atlas first got introduced, it got a lot easier. They basically introduced new mechanics to make it easier to sustain maps. It still was nowhere near as easy as it was today, but this kind of term of map sustain got coined, and it was more relevant back then as it is today. So I'm not saying that map sustain wasn't relevant in the past. I'm saying it is a relic of the past. It is not relevant to today's Path of Exile economy. So if you understood this chaos mindset and you heard about the history of map sustain, you might already get it to a point where you understand what I mean, but let's do an example. All right, so you're thinking about two different farming methods here. Farming method A, farming method B. This could be whatever. It doesn't matter. So for the simplicity's sake, we just said that A and B take the same amount of time and investment to complete a map and to roll it or whatnot. And atolls are 10C for the sake of this video. We're running atolls here. Both farming methods are different though. Maybe one uses blight, maybe one uses essences. Does not matter for the simplicity of this video. So A is a magical map where you put an atoll in and at the end you drop an atoll. So you just sustained. You 100% of the time drop an atoll. And the rest of the map, you drop some small currency or maybe that random scarab or whatnot. On average, you're dropping an atoll and 5C, let's say. So that is 15C. Now you put an atoll in, so you also have to put the atoll out. Let's say the atoll is 10C. So we're subtracting this and we get a 5C profit per map. Sounds pretty nice, right? So let's look at this really, really bad farming method B. Like, you don't see a single atoll in here. This is like 5C, let's say it's a random scarab. 3C, let's say that's just small currency. 6C, some different map. 7C, another different map that you don't want anything to do with. In the end, this comes out to 21C. You didn't sustain, right? So what a trash farming method, right? Well, not really. So if you subtract the atoll from this map, you made 11C profit. Now, do you have to trade for an atoll? Sure, but you made more profit than you would have here, even though you sustain in A. Now, why am I saying this? Because a lot of the high tier strategies in this game revolve around doing maps extremely fast, especially right now with how the Atlas passives are set up. It kind of incentivizes you to complete maps fast. And obviously the maps that you're going to complete fast that don't have as many mobs, it's just about completing them. Those maps won't have that much map sustain. You will have to buy maps. But here's the thing, that's really, really easy nowadays. Back in the day, you couldn't just go to Pee-wee Trade and have like perfectly set up, you put in toxic sewers or like, let's say atolls, atoll, boom. And there we are. I put in minimum stock 30. All right, so everybody who has 30 or more atolls is here. Like I could even put that lower and you would see even more people. So let's see. We can buy so many atolls, 72 atolls, 50 atolls, almost 50 atolls, 71 atolls. These guys have so many atolls, you couldn't even run them if you tried. So that's why if you see a big ladder heading in some YouTube video of, oh my God, this is so good at sustaining maps, map sustain, exclamation mark, just realize that this is not relevant to you. This does not actually matter. This is just to get new players into your video and give them an illusion that actually does not exist. At the end of the day, all that matters is total currency earned per map. Obviously, it matters how much time you take for that map. Like if you take the double the time of somebody else, they could run 2 maps in the time that you run 1 map. Obviously, that's super important for efficiency's sake. We're gonna go over that in the mapping video, but just realize that map sustain itself doesn't matter. Hell, some of the best farming methods I've had, not only this league, but always, do not sustain, because as soon as you bring the variable of sustain into the mix, now you have to put maybe you have to cut another scarab to put in, I don't know, a cartographer scarab or something. Like you put in a gilded cartography scarabs just to sustain maps. Maybe it would have been way better if you just put in a gilded metamorph scarab. You just gimped yourself because you have this illusion that you have to drop all of the maps that you want to run. You don't. You buy them in bulk. It's really, really easy, which is also going to be another video that we're going to do about bulk trading, bulk selling, bulk buying, everything. It is really important. I really want you to take away just this lesson here. It only matters how much currency you get. This is also why I did this long-winded introduction of understanding that everything is actually just currency in disguise. These are all just currency vessels, so to say. So yeah. And it's such a weird concept to have in today's economy as well. Just think about somebody who runs Shapers all day or somebody who runs Uber Elders all day. Just think about them asking, well, can you sustain Uber Elder fragments? Of course they don't ask themselves that. They just buy them and then run them, and the watcher's eyes are going to pay for everything. So I don't know why this kind of term of map sustain is so important to people, but I just wanted to demystify this a little bit. And I know you might think this video is just some unimportant side video, but if you understand this, this will spread into everything you do in this game. Everything will be clearer to you, and most important of all, you will see, you can kind of distinguish clickbait titles. I'm sure if you're a new player, you have I don't know, 20 people like me who you're subscribed to, and probably 10 of them already put out a map sustain video or whatnot. Just understand that at the end of the day, that's not really what matters. It matters about currency per map. So why is it so important to realize everything I just said? Well, basically just to judge farming methods. And one of the reasons people make less currencies than some players make less currency than other players is because they cannot judge farming methods properly. They do not understand what actually makes currency. They are the kind of players who just put their scarabs in their scarab tabs and never sell them. They have I don't know, 40 of each fossil, and then they tell me they have no currency. Though these kind of players, if you're that kind of person, this video is exactly made for you. And you just have to understand how to judge certain farming methods, get information from different points of views. There's a lot of good content creators out there that you can look at. They do certain farming methods. They will tell you everything about it. Now, one thing I want to mention, obviously, there is one example where map sustain obviously matters. If this gave you the same amount of currency, if A gave you the same amount of currency as B, obviously it's more convenient to already have that atoll map in there without having to buy it, and you make the same amount of currency. So this would be a tiny bit better. It's one trade away from being a little bit better than this method. But overall, I just wanted to, and obviously this is just an example. I just wanted to kind of show you how to judge mapping in general. And this doesn't have to be just some information you take from other people. A lot of players out there try it themselves. They lay aside 100 of one map or 50 of one map, whatever sample size they want. Then they add up all their currency gains, and at the end of the day, they look at how much they earned per hour, and then they can compare that to other things. Those are the kind of things that you should do, and map sustain is completely out of that equation just because the trading system is set up in a way where you can just buy them in bulk. You never even have to think about it. Now, there's obviously small exceptions to this rule. Number one, if you're a solo self-found player. I mean, I don't think I have to actually mention that, but if you're a solo self-found player, you probably don't need a how to make currency guide, because all you want is fusings. You don't want to drop chaos or whatever. You want fusings, you want harvest seeds, whatever you need. But I just wanted to mention that if you're in solo self-found, obviously it matters what kind of maps you drop and if you drop maps at all, because in that case, a remnant is not the same as for chaos because you don't have trading. A second small exception of the rule, although really, really rare, is if you do a completely off-meta map. That is nobody wants to farm it, nobody has it in bulk, which is almost impossible, because even if you go for something I don't know, Crimson Township for some reason, maybe you figured something out that nobody else did, even then, some people will still have it in bulk, just randomly dropped. or maybe they do like some maps that are next to it, and then you drop a lot of this map as well, since the boss drops maps that are next to it. So in any case, this can be like a small thing that if you do, if you are farming a map and you see that there's nobody up for sale for like 20 or 30 of the same map, then map sustain, you can reintroduce the thought of map sustain back into your strategy. I'm just saying, don't overvalue it. That's it for the end of the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe. I hope I could kind of demystify this whole map sustain thingy. I hope I could kind of get you away from people who just want to tell you about it all day and it's so important for mapping and blah, blah, blah. I just want to get you on a baseline where you can think for yourself and judge stuff for yourself. But with that being said, since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.